In the eyes of the law, an object can possess its own criminal intent. The architecture of forfeiture begins with a routine traffic stop in Wayne County, Michigan. It was a neighborhood defined by automotive manufacturing, industrial smoke, and shifting economic fortunes.
Officers observed a vehicle pulling over to the curb on a dim Detroit street.
The local precinct targeted specific blocks under a strict municipal anti-vice initiative.
The infraction was minor, but the vehicle itself was immediately targeted for state seizure.
Under local code, the vehicle was classified as a public nuisance subject to impound. The city did not just arrest the driver, they seized the physical asset.
The paperwork registered the car as the primary defendant in a civil action.
The vehicle was locked away before any formal criminal charges were officially filed. The state began processing the property under a distinct, non-criminal legal framework.
The litigation treated the metal and rubber as the actual perpetrator of the offense.
The city initiated legal proceedings against the automobile, bypassing the vehicle owner completely.
Tina Bennis learned her family car was gone while sitting in her kitchen.
She had committed no crime, yet her primary mode of transportation was gone.
Without the vehicle, the daily routine of a working-class household began to collapse. Employment required mobility that the family could no longer afford to maintain easily.
Financial strain mounted as the family prepared to fight the city for retention.
The community was experiencing a quiet epidemic of property seizures without criminal trials.
Neighbors watched the legal battle unfold with a growing sense of vulnerability.
Legal fees quickly surpassed the actual monetary value of the seized family vehicle. No notices of criminal restitution arrived, only civil summonses directed at the car.
The emotional burden was exacerbated by the legal system's complete indifference to innocence.
The absence of the vehicle altered the landscape of everyday family life completely. The battle was no longer about a car, but about basic constitutional fairness. The family stood alone against a municipal policy designed to generate local revenue.
The initial asset forfeiture unit investigation was entirely mechanical, requiring no warrants.
Officers compiled lists of seized property to present to the county prosecutor. The property was classified under civil maritime law concepts, treating it as contraband.
The accusation was directed at the vehicle chassis number, not the registered owner.
Investigators verified that the vehicle was present at the scene of the vice arrest.
Under the nuisance abatement statute, presence at the scene equaled automated institutional guilt.
The prosecution prepared the initial civil complaint against the asset, listing the car.
The case file moved through the system without requiring a criminal conviction first.
The state's pursuit was focused entirely on the statutory definition of the property.
The bureaucratic process prioritized speed, ensuring property could be liquidated rapidly for profit. The initial legal theory assumed the property was a physical instrument of crime. The asset was logged, tagged, and prepared for formal judicial condemnation proceedings. The defense's initial inquiries were met with automated notices of statutory compliance. The prosecutor finalized the initial seizure motion, setting the constitutional challenge in motion.
The evidence consisted solely of the vehicle's physical identification attributes and location.
Documents revealed the county regularly funded operations directly through civil property liquidation.
The legal identity of the property was checked against the state registration database.
Case logs indicated that innocent co-owners were rarely granted property return requests.
The documentation showed the vehicle had 0 liens, making it highly profitable.
The defense noted the complete absence of any criminal record for Mrs. Bennis.
Precedents from 19th-century maritime law were uncovered inside the county asset archives.
The litigation files confirm the action was explicitly civil, lowering the burden. The state's evidence required no proof of knowledge on the owner's behalf.
The property itself was designated as the defendant under the in rem concept.
The physical evidence was minimal, but the statutory presumption of guilt was absolute.
The analysis concluded that the law created an inescapable loop for asset owners.
The paperwork was complete, and the chess match moved to the circuit court.
The legal battle commenced in a system designed for rapid municipal enforcement.
Attorneys for the property owner argued that the seizure violated basic due process.
The prosecution countered that property rights are always subordinate to the police power. Friction escalated, as the defense demanded an innocent owner exception to the law.
The county presented decades of static precedent supporting automated public nuisance asset forfeitures.
The local courts ruled in favor of the state, forcing an appeal.
The Michigan Supreme Court reviewed the statute, upholding the state's right to seize.
The legal battle was now elevated to the Supreme Court of the United States.
The core argument focused on the complete innocence of the co-owning wife.
The friction between individual constitutional protection and state revenue generation reached a climax.
Supreme Court transcripts recorded intense questioning regarding the boundaries of state authority.
The attorneys waited as the justices weighed historical fiction against modern property rights. The defense rested its entire case on the simple premise of fundamental fairness.
The arguments concluded, leaving the fate of innocent owners to judicial interpretation.
In 1996, the Supreme Court delivered a 5-4 decision on forfeiture. The ruling codified a profound systemic flaw into modern constitutional jurisprudence permanently.
The court ruled that an owner's innocence is completely irrelevant to forfeiture.
The law legally treats the property as possessing its own, independent guilt.
This fiction effectively bypasses the innocent until proven guilty standard for citizens.
Because the action is civil, the property has zero constitutional protection rights.
The loophole allows the state to seize assets without ever charging owners.
The paradox turns an inanimate object into a criminal to evade due process.
The systemic flaw converted asset enforcement into an automated funding stream for police. The precedent stripped millions of innocent co-owners of any viable legal defense. The systemic error logic expanded rapidly from vehicles to homes and cash. The paradox ensures that innocence is no longer a shield against state acquisition. The Bennis precedent solidified an automated mechanism of extraction across the nation.
The constitutional loophole was now closed tightly against the claims of citizens.
Following the ruling, the Bennis family lost their vehicle permanently to liquidation.
The long resolution brought no financial relief or compensation to the household. The empty driveway became a permanent feature of their working-class residence.
Appeals were exhausted, cementing the automated power of local asset forfeiture units.
Over decades, the case file became a baseline reference for prosecutors nationwide. The resolution proved that property rights could be dismantled without a trial. Years passed as thousands of automated seizures mirrored the Bennis case mechanics.
The legal record accumulated countless instances of uncompensated property losses for citizens.
The family adjusted to the loss, but the systemic precedent remained active.
The long resolution offered a warning about the expansion of executive power. The final legal entries were completed, leaving the doctrine completely unassailable.
The individual struggle ended, but the macro policy continued to expand silently.
The news of the loss faded into the history of Michigan jurisprudence. The tangible loss was permanent, a monument to the civil forfeiture paradox. Today, civil asset forfeiture generates billions of dollars for modern law enforcement.
The practice remains a core funding mechanism for hundreds of local municipalities. The Bennis decision is still the primary shield used against property owners.
Modern citizens face the exact same legal fiction inside contemporary courtrooms daily.
Reform efforts struggle against the entrenched financial dependence of local police forces.
The machinery of seizure has been streamlined by software and specialized software tracking.
The risk applies to any asset used without the owner's constant oversight.
The systemic flaw has created a multi-billion-dollar parallel justice apparatus.
The law continues to prioritize state liquidity over individual constitutional rights.
Innocent owners must still pay thousands of dollars to prove their own innocence.
The basic paradox remains completely unresolved within the American legal hierarchy. The legacy of a 1988 traffic stop still defines the limits of ownership. The constitutional question stays open in practice, but closed in the courts. The guilty property remains a legal reality, balancing state profit against citizen rights.